13 years ago, I took a walk after getting upset with my parents over some family issues. The thing about it was that it was nighttime, and I've never been outside that late before. I was feeling rebellious that night and decided to walk to the park. I was such a fool. Being young makes you overlook all the dangers that age will introduce you to. I regret doing this every day of my life because I'm not scared by it all the time. As I walked, I noticed there was no one else on the street. No cars on the road even. I lived in the suburbs, you see, and cars were usually quite common, even at night, so cold fear ran through me. Being scared by the darkness engulfed the area with an eerily blurry streetlight beside the road. I eventually reached the park, and by now I was truly afraid. I wanted to run and turn back, but my anger at my parents' idiocy was too great. My feet walked across the pavement as I passed the soccer and baseball fields. Just then, a very different fear ran through me. A cold sweat broke underneath my orange jacket. It was almost as if I was being watched. My first thought was I was going to take a few deep breaths, and doing this so help was enough, After all, who would want to go to this park at night? It was so creepy at night. The park was abandoned after all. With a bit more coincidence, I began to walk past the gravel and play equipment, as well as the old hockey rink nearby it. Suddenly I got that feeling again, and this time it was overwhelming. Now I was truly scared. As I passed the basketball court, a horrible thought went through my mind. If I kept walking this way, I'd be forced to go through the dark woods, which would be even scarier at night than in the day. They were about half a mile long, so continuing on this path was out of the question. I had made up my mind to turn around, and then that voice would haunt me for the rest of my days, spoke out.
You should have stayed home.
It was half a whisper, half a hiss. It was an odd sense of malice. Now that I think about it, I stood frozen in terror and dared not to look behind me. This only lasted for a couple of seconds before I bolted towards the woods and led home to safety. It was the fastest I ran in my entire life, I'm sure. The wind blew across my body as I entered the woods. My pace didn't let up for a second because I knew whatever was behind me was in pursuit. I just knew it. After I'd finally gotten out of the forest and staggered back home, I threw the door open and collapsed in the mudroom, absolutely exhausted. I kept painting and painting, almost in tears. My mother came to my side and hugged me close. "What's wrong, dear?" she had said to me. For the first time that night, I felt safe. I was with my mother now, and nothing could hurt me. I never told my parents about this, though. They would have made it through some big deal for sure. The odd thing was I didn't see my dad that night. Well, actually I did. As I lay in bed that night, restless and sleepy, I opened my eyes just a crack, looked out my window next to my bed. My eyes met my father's. A horrifying smile I'd never seen from him before was on his face, and his eyes were wide open, as big as saucers, staring back at me. I don't think he knew I was awake. Maybe he did. I didn't sleep at all that night, knowing that now that was my father who'd done this to me at the park for sure. He was right. I wish I had stayed home 13 years ago.